I'd like to begin this recap by saying hello to Mike and Karen in Mintlaw, Aberdeenshire. Hopefully I didn't say that completely wrong. I was thinking about whipping out my Sean Connery impression, but then I realized that it's really bad. Now, you may be wondering, hey, where are your recaps of the last few episodes of Lost? Truth is, I didn't make them. Sometimes real life kind of forgets that you're completely ignoring it for a false one on the internet, and then shows up and slaps you in the face. In other words, it's been pretty difficult trying to get them done because out of every video that I've ever done, the Lost recaps take the most time to put together. So instead of making a bunch of short, crappy makeup recaps, I've decided to summarize the last few episodes in one big, long, random recap. So this video is going to be a little bit different. We'll call it my super special, magical, last-minute 5 episodes in one Lost recap, since I'm lazy and didn't do them. All I really have to say about episode 10, The Package, is that Sun was more annoying than ever. Sun and Jin are not married in the Flash Sideways, but they're still involved. The 25 grand was for Kimi to kill Jin, and Sun ran into a tree. This might be in bad taste considering the most recent episode, but I find this funny because after 5.5 seasons of people running through the jungle at full speed, in the rain, at night, from smoke monsters, polar bears, and the others, no one has managed to run into a tree, except for Sun, who managed to do it in broad daylight. Not only that, but the tree knocks the English out of her. Okay, Team Darlton, what was the point of this? Were you guys catching wind that Sun was starting to annoy everyone? Oh, and the package was Desmond, which I knew was going to be something that was completely pointless to keep a secret. At least it wasn't John Locke's body again, otherwise I wouldn't be making any more recaps after that. But thanks Darlton for the obvious new question. If it's John Locke's body again, I'm jumping off a bridge. And I know that there was a lot more to that episode, but this is a summary, so I am moving on. Now let's get to episode 11, Happily Ever After, which is the first Desmond-centric episode of season 6. My new friends Mike and Karen and I have come to the conclusion that for some reason, every Desmond and Penny-centric episode is 100 times more interesting and engaging than any Jack, Sawyer, or Kate episode. Whitmore brings Desmond back to the island and shoots him full of electromagnetism to see if he could survive another huge event like he did at the end of season 2. Which he did. And I thought that that shot of him getting blasted with the electromagnetism was kind of cool. And of course, in the tradition of a Desmond episode being even more weirder and confusing than all of the other episodes, as soon as Desmond is getting hit with the electromagnetism, it all of a sudden jumps over to the Flash Sideways. I thought that this entire episode was great. You've got Desmond, Charlie, Faraday, and they start to hint that people in the Flash Sideways are starting to have memories or flashes of the other timeline, which means that the Flash Sideways might actually be something really important. The shot of Desmond having a flash of Charlie's death from the original timeline while they were both underwater actually startled me the first time I watched this episode. What this means exactly is beyond me, but I do get the impression that the Flash Sideways are going to be a major part of the series finale. Desmond seems like some sort of crazy Cupid and is starting to remind me of Jacob in the sense that he's influencing the other characters. Except, of course, Jacob was a lot more subtle than Desmond is. He actually gets Hurley and Libby together in the Flash Sideways, which I thought was kind of cool. A lot of people didn't think that the producers were going to come back and talk about Libby again, which I'm kind of glad that they did. Even though it wasn't really important and it didn't open our minds up to the answers of the inner workings, because Libby really wasn't that important, and I know a lot of people are like, why was she crazy? She was a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists sometimes go crazy. After listening to people complain all day, I'd go crazy too. So in episode 12, Everybody Loves Hugo, there were actually a lot of things that really bothered me in that episode. For one, Ilana pulled an Arzt and blew up by mishandling dynamite, which pissed me off. They've already done that once with Leslie Arzt, and that was okay because it was a surprise, it was unexpected, and actually kind of funny. But Ilana seemed to be the only one at the camp who actually knew what the heck was going on and had a plan. And, you know, I kind of wanted, oh, I don't know, maybe like a backstory between her and Jacob. I sometimes get really frustrated with the way that they kill off certain characters in the show. The other thing that's starting to bother me is the way that they are delivering answers. I am not complaining about getting answers, I'm complaining about the way that they are giving them out. If you've seen Everybody Loves Hugo, then you know that they finally revealed the source of the mysterious whispers on the island when Michael appears to Hurley. Apparently, the whispers are just dead people who are unable to move on. And the way that they decide to tell the audience after 6 years is almost like a side note. Like they were writing the episode and then at the end they were like, oh, and the whispers are dead people. In case you were still wondering. Okay, so the whispers are dead people. Where does that come into play? You know, I think I might make a separate video just about the whispers, because there were several instances where the whispers made an appearance that didn't seem to be connected to dead people, but seemed to be something from either the others or the smoke monster. I mean, come on! Since season 1, people have been thinking that the whispers are just dead people. At least the whole weird, like, it's an echo of your other self while time traveling thing would have been a little bit more creative. Personally, I think it would have been a better explanation if the whispers was just a secret code for the others. Maybe the others are dead. But then again, they wouldn't be afraid of guns if they were dead. I don't know. So let's briefly talk about episode 13, The Last Recruit. We finally have the long-awaited reunion of Sun and Jin, and also the first time that Jack and Claire acknowledge that they have the same father. And this episode starts off by giving us another answer as a side note. I am of course talking about the fact that Christian Shepherd on the island was just the smoke monster in disguise. Now I am not at all surprised by this, but the way that they just brought it up annoyed me. Christian Shepherd either being the smoke monster or not being the smoke monster was a huge basis for several very elaborate theories that I have read, and those theories took a lot of time, effort, and thought to put together, and the way that they bring it up in the episode, it's just like Flock is kind of like, oh yeah, that was me. So, do you want to leave the island now? Christian Shepherd dies and the smoke monster takes his form. Okay, that makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is that Smokey, for some reason, cannot leave the island. Yet here we clearly see Christian Shepherd talking to Jack after his death off of the island.
Jack?
Jack?
But I guess that was just a hallucination or something, right? Like it was the drugs or something. And Sawyer comes up with a plan to ditch Flock and take the important characters to Widmore's side of the island to safety so that they can leave on the sub. So they all get on Desmond's old boat and take off, but then Jack and Sawyer have a fight and Jack jumps off so that he can stay on the island. Widmore changes his mind about his deal with Sawyer and captures them as soon as they reach Hydra Island, and then he launches an attack at Flock's group, which nearly kills Jack. Flock saves Jack and then tells him that Jack was now with him.